I think practice has gone really well. I think we're ready for Virginia Tech tomorrow night. We're off to a great start. Cam Ward is awesome. The guys around him are playing great. There's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy, and we just want to keep it rolling. Any questions?
Well, you joke, but does having the football team doing what they're doing, back, in the top 10, Cam Ward, Heisman talks and all these sorts of things, does that energize the basketball team also in the whole department?
I think it energizes our whole community.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that's the one thing about sport. Sports, it elevates you. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves a winner. Everybody loves the excitement it's reality TV at its best. Mm-hmm. No one knows what's going to happen. You think you know before the game. Well, the experts say they do know, but they don't. And then when the game begins, you get caught up. I was not able to go to the South Florida game, but I watched it on TV. I thought the first half was one of the most entertaining halves I've seen. Mm-hmm. Some of the plays South Florida was making that we were making, it was going back and forth. I was like, oh man, and the crowd was going crazy. That's when really sports is at its best, because you're basically on the edge of your seat, not knowing what's coming next. And speaking of that, that's the way my practices look. I have no idea what's coming next.
What can you tell us about this team so far, now that you've seen them for a little while now? What do you see? It's a whole new team.
Yeah. 10 new guys.
Yeah.
A whole new team.
That's a lot.
Here's the way I would look at it to begin with. We're very different than we've been in these last few years. Number one, Lynn Kidd and Kyrie Ewing are much taller than the players we've had, and they play much differently than the guys we've had. Lynn Kidd is an outstanding low post scorer, left-hand jump hook, right-hand jump hook, and he's a very good athlete. He runs the floor very hard and very well and very consistent. He's joined up there by Kyrie Ewing, who is 6'9", long-armed, an outstanding leaper, who's got a dynamic left hand in around the basket. And they battle each other every day. And it's fun to watch them compete because they both play so hard, they both run the court so well, and they're always so just upbeat. Their personalities are just great for me. I like being around guys who have a lot of energy and bring it every day, are very consistent. So we keep very accurate statistics during practice, and we started this summer on June the 10th, and we went 7 weeks. And then we started school on August the 19th and had 4 more weeks before practice officially began September 23rd. Lynn Kidd, in practice, in scrimmages, in live action, shot 75% from the field. And Kyrie Ewing shot 70% from the field. Now you'd say to yourself, well, they must be bad defensively because they're guarding each other. But I didn't view it that way, because some of the shots are just, wow, that's nice. And so those two guys have to anchor our offense and our defense. They've got to be key contributors offensively by scoring, by screening, but they also have to be great rebounders, because that's an area of our game that needs a lot of attention. All right, so to move from the 2 biggest guys on the team to the 2 smallest guys on the team, we have a veteran like Nigel Pack, who's healthy, which is the number one thing for him. He had a very challenging year last year because of injury. Not because of his playing ability or shot making or anything like that. He just was never 100% for weeks in a row. So we've got to keep him healthy, but he's practicing great. He's second on the team right now in plus minus, which means, you guys know what plus minus is, so when your team is playing, what do we do when you're on the court? And he's second on the team in plus minus.
Who's first?
No, I'm not telling you that yet.
Oh.
You have to wait.
So
the guy he competes against the most and plays with the most is Jalen Blackmon. Now Jalen is a little bit taller than Nigel, but a very similar player, very crafty, very good shooter. Not the tallest guy, the longest guy, or the most athletic guy, but a guy who has skills for the game. And so those two guys are really competing for both the point guard position and also the two guard position, because they can both play either spot. And then we have about 3 or 4 guys in particular who are competing with what I would call the 4 or stretch 4 or power forward position. The first is Brandon Johnson, the transfer from East Carolina, who has been, in my mind, our most consistent player. And he is number 1 in plus minus. And other than Nigel, there's nobody else even close to him as to how well he's played in practice. And what's great about him, in addition to playing so well, he's also got the highest assist to turnover ratio. He was averaging 4 assists to every 1 turnover. And he's throwing the ball to Lynn Kidd and Kyrie Ewing, who make 70% of their shots. So what a nice inside-outside combination. BJ, Brandon Johnson, can shoot the 3, he can handle the ball. Is he Jordan Miller? No, a little bit different than Jordan, but he's smart like Jordan. He understands the game, and he's a very good teammate. Brandon is getting some serious competition from Paul Jobet, who's a returner, who's gotten a whole lot stronger, playing with a lot of confidence, playing very hard, and he's our 3rd leading rebounder. Brandon is our leading rebounder, Kyrie is 2nd, and Paul is 3rd. So I'm very happy with some of the statistical analysis for Paul. In addition, there's a freshman by the name of Isaiah Johnson-Arrigu, who's 6'7", 225, very athletic, good in around the basket, can shoot the 3. And other than his inexperience, which shows regularly, he shows the potential to be just an outstanding college player. He's got the size, the speed, the athletic ability, the skill level. He's a well-rounded player, but he's a freshman and he's really learning a lot. And hopefully by the time we open up in November, he'll have made really good progress. He's making good progress now, but I think he can go much further. So those 3 guys right now are battling for that 4-man position. The wings, guys that are multiple position guys, we'll start with Jalil Bethea, who's about 6'5", came in at 172, he's now 188. He's gotten stronger, very athletic young man. He'll have some real nice highlight dunks and stuff like that. But he's also can play both the 1 and the 2. We're working with him on the 1. That's a little bit more challenging for him. But he's a very good all-around guard. And then we have AJ Stanton McCray, who's like a 6'5" transfer from Samford, who, especially since classes began in the summer, I thought he was not quite as sharp in shooting the ball as I had seen when he was at Samford. He was shooting like 40% at Samford, but in our stats, he was only shooting like 28%. But now that school has begun, and I think he's just a little bit more comfortable, and my coaches are really encouraging him. 6'5", he's athletic, and probably play the 2 or the 3. At Samford, he even played the 4 some. He's a hustler, good defender. I'm going to try to get him to really work on his on-ball defense so we can maybe use him as a defensive point guard. Not an offensive point guard, but somebody who's got size and athletic ability to match up with some of the big guards in our league. And then we have Matthew Cleveland, who's been our leading scorer in practices. But in my mind, he still has to grow into the position as a leader. His inconsistency in that role. Some days he looks like he's focused and ready to compete and do what we need him to do, and other days he seems distracted. Another freshman, Austin Schwartz, from Charlotte, a very fine shooter, 6'5", pretty athletic, really likes to shoot the ball. So he doesn't pass up many looks. And his challenge is his inexperience shows up a lot at the defensive end of the floor, guarding other really good players. So there's one more guy who I have yet to figure out what our goal should be with him. His name is Divine Ugachukwu. He's 6'3", plays the point. He's athletic. He knows how to play. His high school team went like 32-1. And in all the games, he's a sub oftentimes, and yet in plus minus, even if his team is lost and everybody else is a minus, he ends up showing up in a plus with more assists than turnovers. He was third on the team in assists. So, and he's a point guard, but he's got size enough to play the 2. So we've got to really look closely at him and decide whether or not we're going to redshirt him or whether or not he could help us this year and be in our rotation. Yusef Basama is the backup to Kyrie and Lynn, and just a tremendous addition. When you meet him, talk to him, you'll just love him. Graduated from Yale, works really, really hard, fits in beautifully here. How many is that?
You're missing Xander.
Xander's the only one I'm missing? So Xander Allery is a freshman walk-on. His dad is Mark Allery, who played at Duke. I coached against Mark. He was a tremendous shooter and an NBA first-round draft choice. Xander is kind of growing into his body. He's 6'8". He's got broad shoulders. He's got a nice left-handed touch. But right now he is a walk-on and trying to fit in, and hopefully he'll feel very, very comfortable, and the guys will feel good about his role on the team.
That's a great, thank you for that whole rundown of everybody. That's very helpful. Brandon, would you say are you surprised at how good Brandon is playing? What did you I mean, obviously you recruited all these guys for a reason, but has he done more than you thought he would?
When I watched him, when we started to research him, I called Eric Conkle and Adam Fisher, who coached against him, and they both raved about him. And they both said he's a very good three-point shooter, which is what I was looking for, kind of a stretch 4. And but when he got here, the first thing that stood out was his rebounding. And he was our leading rebounder like from day one. He goes after the ball. Now, he's not Norshad O'Meara. I'm not comparing him to that. But I think he's like a Jordan Miller, where at the end of the game, he's going to have 5 to 8 rebounds most nights. The other thing is, and I asked him about this, I asked him a question, do you realize how smart you are? Because a lot of times players don't know that when they do something that they think is normal for them, but a lot of players wouldn't make that decision. They wouldn't do what the right choice is. But he does it like every day. And he had a play where a guy missed a shot, and he could have got the rebound and tried to score, but he knew he had a great three-point shooter behind him. So he just jumped up and tipped it back to him, and the guy made the 3. And there's other times where we post feed into the low post, and the guy's trying to score, and Brandon's man will look like maybe I'll go help, and as soon as he sees that, he just cuts to the basket. And the guy will pass it to him and he gets a lay-in. A lot of guys just stand around and watch the guy play one-on-one in the low post. In Brandon's case, he moves well without the ball, he moves well with the ball, he's a very good target, and so, I think he's headed towards a very, very good year.
Coach, let's talk schedule a little bit. Obviously the ACC is a multi-bid league consistently, but then in the non-con schedule, y'all have the opportunity to play possibly on paper 3 to 4 Q1 teams. Can we talk about how setting up that non-con schedule is going to set up into a good ACC play and then hopefully a March bid?
Yeah, well, obviously the goal is to be back in the big dance and a part of March Madness. And when we put our schedule together, there's a lot of components. One in the most important is probably the exempt event. And when you sign up for it, you don't know for sure who the other teams are going to be. We're going to Charleston. It's hosted by ESPN, and it's a good field. We need to be very well prepared for that weekend, because we played Drake. We've already played them in the past. We know how difficult they can be. FAU is in our bracket, and we know how good they've been. And then you have a host of, VCU, Seton Hall, Oklahoma State. There's just a lot of teams that can beat you if you don't play well, and even if you play well, it's going to be a very competitive game. The second part is we don't get to choose our opponent in the SEC Challenge. This year we're going to play Arkansas, but it's at home. So that becomes a very huge game because the ACC is always fighting for at-large bids, and we're competing against the likes of the SEC, Big East, Big 10, Big 12, and we want to be sure that the ACC represents itself well in that event, and us in particular, because that gives us a chance to get a quad 1 win. In addition to that, we scheduled another SEC team, the University of Tennessee, in Madison Square Garden. Rick Barnes is a Hall of Fame coach. He's built a tremendous program wherever he's been. My alma mater, Providence, he's a Hall of Fame there. Clemson, Texas, and now Tennessee. And he's got a lot of talent. So playing in Madison Square Garden, in New York, in December, that'll be a very important game. In addition, some of our other opponents, though, despite the fact that some people won't recognize their names, they're the only ones you can get to come home. A lot of people don't want to play here in Miami. You say, well, they'd love to come to Miami. Yeah, for vacation, but not to play the Miami Hurricanes. So we've got a good balance in the schedule, and the ACC schedule is loaded because the league, I don't know if I asked the question, how many players transferred out last April from the ACC, the 18 schools that are now in the ACC? How many? Just give me a number, just guess.
0.
200.
56.
30 to 40%.
What?
30 to 40%.
What is that though? I don't know.
I'm not
That'd be
good.
54 to 72.
Okay, 104. 104 transfers. Do you know what that means? 104 guys are transferring in. Because people are not saying, oh, that guy transferred out, I don't have to replace him. No, you got to have a full roster. So that's why we have 10 guys. We have freshmen and we have transfers. We only have 3 returners. So 10 of our guys are new. Oh, and the other teams in our league, you say, wow, Miami has all these new guys. Yeah, everybody's got new guys. Everybody. They're either freshmen or transfers.
Coach, I want to ask about, this freshman class as a whole. Just with this class, well, I guess 2-part question. With this class, do you think they're further along than some of your previous recent recruiting classes are in this part of the process? And then
The answer is yes to that.
And then I guess second part of that with Jaleel in particular, just with his ability to score and pass and jump and whatnot, is there a player that you've coached before that you could compare him to with his abilities in mind?
Okay, let's basically talk about the qualities that Jalil brings to our program. Because those are the most important things. He's a very happy guy, smiles all the time, high fives everybody, right? So his personality and his energy is at an extremely high level. With that, he's also extremely competitive, which means if things don't go so well, he's very hard on himself, right? So from a maturity standpoint, mental and emotional maturity, that's a part of his game. We can help him a little bit with that right now, but there's not a lot of adversity. When it'll come most is when we're actually competing on the court. And if he's playing well, he's going to be as happy as he can be. But if he's not playing well, not making shots, or not even maybe playing as much as he was hoping, that'll be the challenge for him. From a physical standpoint, he just has a good game, and he needs to just keep getting better.
Can I ask one follow-up on him, on Jalil?
Yes.
Okay. When you have a guy like that coming in who's, lots of stars, lots of accolades, lots of all that, and expectations from everyone around him that he's gonna come in and he's gonna start and whatever new team, and then you see, what he actually is, which is a young guy still, like you just said. How hard is that to have him stay happy, but also realize that he still has to develop?
Very challenging. Because it's not the coaches or his teammates or even him. It's everybody that's around him. You guys, you write all these glowing things about the guy, and then all of a sudden, maybe he doesn't play as much. Maybe he gets taken out of the game at a critical time. Maybe he makes a critical mistake, and now he's upset with himself. Or maybe he's upset with a teammate because he was wide open and didn't get the ball. Or they're just, that's really what coaching is. A coach is basically a teacher, and when you're trying to help someone learn, and in this particular case, learn not only the game of basketball, but learn how to be a real positive contributor to an organization. And we've had many really good ones. Shane Larkin as a freshman was terrific. Bruce Brown had a sensational freshman year. Lonnie Walker. Is Jalil going to be like that? Those guys played on teams that they just fit perfectly because of their role. Like Shane Larkin, we needed a point guard, so he got to play through mistakes and through everything. With this team, we have a lot of options at that two guard spot. So he's going to have to be patient with himself, and he's going to need to be patient with me, because everything won't go exactly as the doctor ordered. It's going to be a roller coaster of events. Games were great, games that are not so good.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, Matthew Cleveland said the synergy of this team is a bit different than last year. Just what are your thoughts on that, and just what's the energy, just over 30 days out?
Well, first of all, it's a different time of the year to evaluate that. Normally, and when people ask me how we're doing, I say, well, we're undefeated. Kids are impacted by wins and losses a lot. So right now, there's no wins, no losses. We're just practicing and playing, and they're enjoying themselves. The real challenge will come with their chemistry and bonding. What will they do when the season starts? Right? And there's only an 8-man rotation. That means 5 guys didn't even get in the game. How did they handle that? How did they view that? Is the first thing that runs through their mind, I'm transferring. Put my name in the portal. This stinks. I shouldn't have come here. Or are they saying to themselves, man, that was a heck of a win. I need to keep working. I got to see if I can work my way into that rotation. We talk about attitude is everything. And we want guys who have a positive attitude.
One more?
Coach, you talked about the fact that this team is shaking up to be different than the ones you've had in the past. I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that you talked a lot about the fast play of the offense, but last year Miami being 9th in the ACC in defense, and then well into the 200s nationally. kind of what are your hopes as a coach this year with the defensive intensity, and what improvements have you seen so far?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, it's an area we've got to get better. You know, we tell the players all the time, we work on it every day. You know, a lot of players look at the game as, when I have the ball, I'm playing. When I don't have the ball, whether I'm on offense or defense, I'm resting and waiting for my time to get the ball. And really what you're trying to get your team to do is really buy into a defensive concept and put all their effort and energy into defense and let the defense create the offense. We're trying to do that right now.
Matthew, just year 2 in Miami, how are you feeling, this year around, being more comfortable, more familiar with everything?
So far, so it's good. Just trying to take the next step in leadership, mentally, just being consistent, disciplined, and helping the new guys we have, because I know what it's like, because that was me last year. So just trying to take a bigger step in the leadership department.
And then kind of talk about that with the new guys like Jalen, AJ, and a bunch of new faces. How's everybody gelling along? Kind of, like you said, you were in that position last year. What's some advice or things you're telling those guys?
I just tell them, just get as comfortable as you can. I know it's day by day you're gonna get more comfortable, more confident, but just keep playing your game. Don't really think too much. Just play your game, and that's really the main thing. Just trying to be a good teammate to them.
Jalen, hi, Michelle Kaufman from Miami Herald, welcome. I want to know if you could just take us through your journey from Indiana. How did you end up, you went to Grand Canyon, then Stetson, and then here. Can you just explain to us how you got to each place? Thanks.
So I played high school in Indiana, and I played for my dad, and then I played for Coach Drew at GCU, and then I transferred after my freshman year because I didn't get a lot of playing time, and I went to Stetson and played for Coach Jones for 2 years, and we ended up winning and going to the tournament, so that's how I ended up here.
And the Stetson coach, you knew him, or how did you end up with Coach Jones?
Well, a couple people from Indiana knew him really well, and that was probably one of the best decisions going to play for him.
And then what about your decision to come here? How did that come about? And if you could tell us how it's going so far.
It's been great. We got a lot of new guys, so we're just learning to play together. And Coach L, I know he's coached a lot of good guards, and he gives his guards a lot of freedom, so that was a big part of my decision.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, you looking more forward to playing the 3 this year?
Yeah, I am. Just doing whatever it takes to help the team win. So if playing the 3 is that, then I'll do it.
Seems to be a more natural position.
Yeah.
Jalen, in a crowded guard room, how excited are you to kind of come in and bring your own taste and contribute in a unique way? What do you think you have to offer for this team this season?
Just trying to do my best to win games. I'll do whatever the team needs, and playing with a lot of good guards like Nigel, Matt, Jaleel, AJ. Like, learning from them is because they're all experienced. So, yeah.
Jalen, I want to ask about your synergy with Nigel in particular. Just how do you think both of your play styles kind of complement each other?
Well, we play very similar, so we both can shoot it really well. We both can dribble, pass, and shoot. So playing off him is really easy because he's good off the ball and he's good on the ball.
Matthew, just from what you've seen with this new group, there's so many new faces. How will this team look different style-wise from what we saw last year? What do you think?
I say the big thing is synergy. I feel like this team, we're already super close, so I feel like the biggest thing is just going to be synergy and just the teamwork. You'll see it more as defensively and offensively, just playing as a team this year.
Now, it seems like there's been an increase in, experience, veteran depth throughout the roster as a whole. Just with that depth, how have you seen that, positively affect the competition just in practice and everything?
It's good. It's good for us just having, I think we have 8, 9 older players, so just practice every day. It's going to be a challenge. You're going to get everyone's best, so it's just good going into it mentally and physically.
Matthew, how hard was it seeing, this is the new world now where everybody just leaves and goes to different teams. What was it like for you to just see one by one all of these teammates disappear, and how did you navigate that change this summer?
It was hard because most of them were my closest friends. We see each other every day, but they had to do what they thought was best for them. But I felt like staying here was what's best for me, and Coach L gets the best out of me, so I feel like navigating it was pretty easy with the coaches that we have.
Did you have a conversation, I mean, after the season with Coach L, what was that conversation like about the decision to come back?
Just what I can do to help this team win coming into this year, just what he needs from me and what he sees that I can bring to the table this year.
Matthew, you mentioned leadership and kind of how you want to take a step up in that category this season. You came in from Florida State. Obviously, last year, team kind of took a step back. And how hungry is the locker room to kind of get back to that tournament place and be a competitive team? And how do you think you're going to help the team get back to that place?
I feel like the team is very hungry. That's really all we talk about is just winning, how we can win, how we can get back to where this program is used to. And I feel like I can just help it, just bring an experience that I've been on to losing teams, bad teams. So I see like what you don't need. I see how the locker room culture, what it needs to be like. So I feel like that's the biggest thing I can bring.
Matthew, you mentioned the culture, locker room, those kind of words. Was that missing from last year's team? Because, you know, it's a team that was coming off a Final Four. You know, what happened last season?
I'll just say it's a mix of everything. Just a lot of things didn't go well together, but I mean, all of us were great guys. We wanted the best things, but it didn't seem like it meshed too well together.
So you feel different. This is a different vibe.
Yeah, very different.
Kind of from the outside looking in before you got to Miami, kind of what was your perception and kind of does it match what you thought it would be like?
Yeah, it's even more than what I thought it would be. It's what I watched when I was making my decision was that the guards had a lot of freedom and also really good bigs. So that's exactly what it's been.
And then with you, your high level score, just what could people expect from you that are familiar with the game? Kind of what do you think makes you stand out a bit from other guards around the country?
Well, I think I can shoot really well, so I'm a good shooter, and also I'm just gonna try to do what it takes to win.
Jalen, from what you've seen in past years with Coach Larranaga led Miami teams, you mentioned the way that he coaches his guards. From what you've seen, what really attracted you in that avenue as far as his guard development and such?
Just seeing all the guards that he had, and also I've seen Nigel, I've seen him from Indiana and how Coach L let him play, so that was a big part as well.
And then also, of course, you're the leader of the Stetson team that won conference tournament, made it to NCAA tournament, of course. Just how valuable was that experience and that run as a whole, now leading into your time in Miami?
Yeah, so we have 6 players, like he said, that are all grad students and older guys. So having guys that came from different places and all have won is good. That's a good group of guys.
Jalen, you were Atlantic Sun MVP, tournament MVP last year. Did you come here to try to raise your ceiling?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to play against the best of the best, and I know the ACC is one of the toughest conferences.